a world where a lot of commotion is happening, catastrophes, coups and disasters, massive waves of power change and elections, just to mention a few, and with all the premeditated narratives, one needs to seek a place of peace and tranquility. And that's why we are here. As GBS ambassador, we'll be here to help you take away the noise and the misinterpretation that seek to pull us apart, giving you hope, happiness, and a pure mindset across Africa and the world at large. Good afternoon. This is the ambassador, and I'm your ambassador, Jennifer Macau. But first, let's get to the highlights of today. Kenya, among several African nations, are to withdraw the batch of Benylin, children's syrup cough, following the percentage concerns pertaining some toxicity findings. And also in Kenya, doctors' strike now surpasses its 5th week, leaving patients without care, raising more alarm on the health escalating conditions pertaining the nation. And thanks, guys, we'll make our own decision. That's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu in Jerusalem on Wednesday, who won during a meeting expected to discuss his pledge to hit back at Iran, directing that Israel would make its own decisions. While Pope Francis invited the faithful on Wednesday to pray for all the people suffering conflicts around the world, urging the liberation of prisoners of war to be released. And in the UK, we are talking of the lawmakers who voted in favor of a bill of gradually eradicating smoking, with the UK government initiative seeking to create a smoke-free future. We have this and more lined up for you in the Ambassador News at 1 p.m. And may you stay tuned with us. And now, as we get to the start, Kenya has joined several African countries in expressing concerns over Benylin pediatric, that is a children's cough syrup, following recent toxic findings. The country, along with Tanzania, Eswatini, Rwanda, and South Africa, not forgetting Nigeria and Zimbabwe, have all recalled the batch of the pharmaceutical company Johnson & Johnson product through Kenya Pharmacy and the Poisons Board, that is the PBP, directing pharmaceutical outlets countrywide to stop the distribution of the brand. Speaking to the reporters during a briefing, Anthony Torotich, that is the Pharmacy Directors Board of the Safety Director, confirmed that the batch consisting of 11,184 units, which corresponded with its Nigerian counterpart, was potentially toxic, thus recalling the drug over the safety issues. Here is more reports.
In this case of Benylin, pediatric syrup, the Nigerian authority, which is called NAFDAC, did a sampling of that medicine in Nigerian market. And then they found that medicine to be of poor quality. It was, the impurity levels for diethylene glycol was higher than expected. So they mandated what we call a recall of that product in Nigerian market. We followed it up with the local technical agent in the country who imported those products. We told them to give us the distribution list and immediately quarantine all Benylin related products. At the same time, we started sampling all other batches that were already in the country. We looked at how much they were. They were actually in total about 44,000.
And in Kenya, hundreds of doctors and medical practitioners have continued their protest for the better pay and working conditions as the nationwide strike surpasses its 5th consecutive week. The demonstration saw impassioned calls for the government action to address the grievances through Florence, a cancer patient seeking treatment at the Kenya Referral Hospital, finding herself caught in the midst of the strike on Tuesday. And despite her worsening condition, she, like many others, were left unattended due to the ongoing protest. Susan Nganga with more.
Hundreds of Kenyan doctors and other medical practitioners
And German Foreign Minister, that is Annalena Baerbock, and the UK Foreign Secretary, that is Lloyd David Cameron, were both witnessed in a meeting holding talks separately with the Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu on Jerusalem on Wednesday. They were expected to discuss Netanyahu's pledge to hit back at Iran following last weekend's large-scale strikes on Israel, which Tehran claimed were to respond to the airstrike in Damascus consulate earlier this month. Through Israel has not claimed responsibility for what happened earlier in the attack. Israeli allies recently warned of further actions against Iran, according to the reports, as Netanyahu was quoting following a meeting stating that Israel would make its own decision and the state of Israel would do everything necessary to defend itself, while Cameroon suggested any response would be smart and limited. Iran's president also warned that the tiniest invasion by Israel will bring a massive and a harsh response, as the region races for the potential Israel retaliation after Iran attack over the weekend. It is worth noting that British Prime Minister, that is Rishi Sunak, was questioned by the leader of the Workers' Party, that is George Galloway, about whether restraint on Israel could have an effect, claiming that Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's government had killed over 100,000 people, that is in 6 months, during a House of Commons meeting in London on Wednesday, adding more to the controversy.
Can I just ask the Prime Minister to thank his right honourable friend, the Secretary of State, for...
Speaker, the Prime Minister told us on Monday that he was off to make a telephone call to Mr. Netanyahu to urge restraint on a government that has killed and maimed well over 100,000 people in 6 months, 72% of them women and children. Can he tell us how the telephone call went and what he will do if his advice is not taken and an unrestrained war begins?
Mr. Speaker, I was pleased to speak with Prime Minister Netanyahu, who thanked the UK for their support of Israel's security over the weekend. We also discussed the situation and how Iran is isolated on the world stage, and also I made the point to him that significant escalation is not in anyone's interest, and it's a time for calm heads to prevail. I also reiterated our concerns about the humanitarian situation in Gaza, where I welcome the statements and commitments that the Israeli government have made about significantly increasing aid into Gaza, and now we need to see those commitments delivered. Robotic surgery in my honourable friend's local community is a...
I answered them as best as I could.
Thank you.
Honourable gentlemen, thank you.
Thank you.
Great.
Thank you.
And Pope Francis invited the faithful on Wednesday to pray for all people suffering in conflicts around the world, urging the liberation of the prisoners of war, including the Holy Land, Palestine, and Israel, as well as the troubled nation of Ukraine, which he referred to as martyred. Pope Francis has been a consistent advocate for peace, frequently calling for immediate ceasefire and urging the conflicting parties to pursue negotiation. His recent Easter message reiterated the urgent need for a cessation of the hostilities in Gaza, coupled with the release of the Israeli hostages. As the world grapples with the ongoing conflicts, the Pope called for the prayer and the peace resonates as a beacon of hope with the turbulent times that the nations are facing. Here is more.
All of us goes to the populations at war. Let us think of the Holy Land, Palestine, Israel. Let us think of Ukraine, of the martyred Ukraine. Let us think of the prisoners of war. May the Lord move the will to free them all. And speaking of the prisoners, it comes to mind for those who have been tortured. Torturing is a very bad thing. It is not human. Let us think about so many tortures that hurt the dignity of the person, and to so many tortured people. May the Lord help everyone. May the Lord bless everyone, and to all of you.
And in a historic move, the UK lawmakers have passed a bill aimed at phasing out smoking, marking a significant step towards smoke-free future. Despite persistence from the members of the Prime Minister, that is Rishi Sunak, Conservative Party, the bill successfully passed its initial stage in the Parliament, marking its primary significant milestone on Tuesday. Here is the full report.
In a landmark move aimed at safeguarding the health of the future generations in the UK, Prime Minister Rishi Sunak's Tobacco and Vapes Bill has been introduced with a primary focus on curbing smoking among young people. The proposed law, if enacted, would make it illegal to sell tobacco products to individuals born after January 1st, 2009.
Because there is no safe level of smoking and no safe tobacco product. In fact, it is the only product that if it is consumed as the manufacturer intends, it will kill 2/3 of its long-term users. Now, this bill is not about demonising people who smoke or stopping them from buying tobacco if they're able to today. It will not affect current smokers' rights or entitlements in any way.
This legislation signifies a significant stride towards forging a smoke-free generation in Britain by incrementally increasing the legal age of sale each year. The government aims to shield the youth from the detrimental impacts of tobacco. Additionally, the bill incorporates provisions to address youth vaping, including banning on certain products and limitations on flavors.
I propose that in future, we raise the smoking age by 1 year every year.
Despite garnering widespread support from health experts and the opposition Labour Party, Prime Minister Sunak encountered resistance from within his own party. Some Conservative members argue that these measures encroach upon personal freedoms. However, the government asserts that smoking will not be criminalised and current smokers will not be impacted by the proposed changes.
I won't be supporting this rule because I believe in freedom. And the second point I make is mandate. The Prime Minister does not have a mandate to bring forward this legislation.
I simply don't understand how it is that a Conservative Prime Minister has thought it was appropriate to bring forward legislation which seems to me is the opposite of the reason why we in this House are sent here, which is to defend and uphold the principle of individual choice.
While the UK has witnessed a notable decline in smoking rates over the years, the habit remains a leading cause of preventable deaths. Proponents of the bill anticipate that these new measures will further diminish smoking-related illnesses and fatalities. As the legislation progresses through Parliament, it represents a pivotal moment in the ongoing battle against smoking in the UK.
Advise kids that this law that's going to come in is for their benefit and that they should listen to people like us that wish we never started.
I think it's, in honesty, I think it's a little bit out of touch. You know, it kind of taken the nanny state to extremes.
I advise all children not to even contemplate about smoking because it affects you physically, mentally, financially.
Beatrice Njeri, GBS News.
And that international news brings us to our first break. There is more coming up for you. Next, we'll talk about Ethiopia's donors' pledge towards hundreds of millions to aid the nation and the challenges it is facing. We'll also bring to you the successful latest global wind energy installation breakthrough process. And have you ever heard of the Dipri Festival? And the Cameroon Bamoun oldest kingdom, we will tell you about it. Also, we'll get to see about the China-Beijing half marathon controversy. We have this and more lined up for you shortly after the break. And may you stay tuned with us.
Welcome to the Insight Tonight. My name is Eugene Ochienkwach and you're watching GBS TV.
Yes, we have had partnerships. First and foremost, I want to talk about the nearest to me, IYF. Very helpful. They have taken us through mind training. And personally, I've been taken for mind training, not just in Kenya. I went out to Korea, and we were different public servants from different departments of different governments across the world.
He said that he supports the bill. And now it has already passed the 2 steps. And it is going to be implemented. But you are not the first person to raise these questions. Kenyans have raised the same questions. Actually, there was this Kenyan who was asking in a funny way, and it went viral. Nani hana kwao? Nani hana kwao? And I believe the reason as why it went viral is because Kenyans could relate to this. But now, how come you're supporting this?
What are the key challenges or opportunities in this dynamic landscape?
Well, urbanization is our future, whether we like it or not. And we see it all around us, including in this beautiful country, in Kenya. Our next World Urban Forum, which is our prime platform for bringing together all the various actors in the area of urbanization and sustainable cities together every 2 years on a global platform. So next one will be held from the 4th to the 8th of November this year in Cairo, in Egypt.
Everywhere, GBS.
Welcome back. You are still watching The Ambassador, GBS Global News, and we are glad to have you join us today. Now, as we continue, in a United Nations-backed initiative, pledges totaling to nearly 630 million were raised to address the humanitarian crisis in Ethiopia. However, this fell short of $1 billion target aimed at supporting millions facing the conflict in the climate challenges in the country. Leading the contribution was the United States, that is Ethiopia's primary humanitarian donor, who expressed concerns over the stretched resources. Similarly, the United Kingdom, the second largest donor, cautioning that Ethiopia risked being overshadowed by other global crises. The call for aid deliveries without interference from the Ethiopian government was echoed by donors, through the plea coming in the wake of a significant diversion of donated food aid, leading to a suspension of the food aid distribution by the U.S. Agency for the International Development last year. Here is more. And unprecedented rainfall inundated in Dubai, causing chaos at Dubai International Airport and across the United Arab Emirates, that is the UAE. The downpour, described as a historic weather event by the state-run WAM News Agency, surpassed the records dating back to 1949 in Dubai, typically known for its arid climate, experiencing torrential rain starting late Monday, leading to a significant flooding. Meteorological data recorded over 142 millimeters, that is 5.5 inches, of rainfall within 24 hours, far exceeding the average yearly participation of the 94.7. We are talking in millimeters, that is 3.7 inches, at Dubai International Airport. Maven with more report.
Desert nation of the United Arab Emirates attempted to dry out Wednesday from the heaviest rain ever recorded there after a deluge flooded out Dubai International Airport, disrupting travel through the world's busiest airfield for international travel. The heavy rainfall is said to be a historic weather event that surpassed anything documented since the start of data collection in 1949. The rain also fell in Bahrain, Oman, Qatar, and Saudi Arabia. However, the rains were acute across the United Arab Emirates. One reason may have been cloud seeding, in which small planes flown by the government go through the cloud's special salt flares, and the flares can increase precipitation. Several reports quoted meteorologists at the National Center for Meteorology are saying they flew 6 or 7 cloud ceiling flights before the rains. The center did not immediately respond to the questions on Wednesday, though flights tracking data analyzed by the Associated Press showed one aircraft affiliated with the UAE's cloud seeding efforts flew around the country on Sunday. Rains began late Monday, soaking the sands and roadways of Dubai with some 20 millimeters of rain, according to meteorological data collected at Dubai International Airport. The storms intensified around 9 a.m. on Tuesday and continued throughout the day, dumping more rains and hail onto the overwhelmed city. Arrivals were halted Tuesday night, and passengers struggled to reach terminals through the flooded water covering surrounding roads. Dubai International Airport acknowledged Wednesday morning that the flooding had left limited transportation options and affected flights as aircraft crew couldn't reach the airfield. Emirates said that the airline had halted check-ins for passengers departing from Dubai itself from 8 a.m. until midnight Wednesday as it tries to clear the airport of transit passengers. Ivy Maven, GBS News.
Well, we wish them all the best, especially this time that weather seems to be taking a devastating toll to many nations. And moving on, the global wind energy industry celebrated a milestone achievement in its battle against climate change, according to the latest Global Wind report by the Global Wind Energy Council, that is 2023, related on Tuesday, as a remarkable surge in wind power installations was witnessed with a record-breaking of 117 gigawatts of new capacity added worldwide. This marked a staggering 50% increase from the previous year, making it the most successful year on record for the new wind projects. Ivy with the report.
The world installed 117 gigawatts of new wind power capacity in 2023, a 50% increase from the year before, making it the best year for new wind projects on record, according to a new report by the industry's trade association. The latest Global Wind report, published Tuesday by the Global Wind Energy Council, explores the state of the global wind industry and the challenges it's facing in its expansion. Still, the report shows that wind is becoming better understood and appreciated across the globe for the value it's bringing as a renewable energy source, a statement made by George Aluru, the CEO of Electricity Sector Association of Kenya, an industry body for private investors in electricity. The growing impacts of climate change, wind power and other renewable sources are seen as the key to reducing electricity generation from fossil fuel and mitigating climate change. Renewables are the cheapest form of electricity in many parts of the world and among the cheapest in most others. Global cumulative wind power capacity now totals 1,021 gigawatts, as Christian Andersen, research manager at the Sintef Energy Research, a Norway-based independent institute for applied research in the energy sector, said the report shows that the wind industry is picking up pace by attracting investors and gaining maturity, and that may lead to a snowball effect leading to the future growth. As was the case in 2022, China led all other countries for both new onshore and offshore wind power installation in 2023. It had 65% of new installation and was followed by the United States, Brazil, and Germany, respectively. Together, these four countries accounted for 77% of new installation globally last year. Report notes that growth in wind power installation is highly concentrated in big countries and links to the strong market frameworks to scale wind installation in those countries. The top 5 markets at the end of last year remained as China, the United States, Germany, India, and Spain. Still, some other countries and regions are coming up, having witnessed record levels of growth in 2023. Africa and the Middle East installed nearly 1 gigawatt of wind power capacity in 2023, almost triple that of the previous year. Coming projects in South Africa, Egypt, and Saudi Arabia, the report predicts that new onshore wind additions for Africa and the Middle East will grow 5-fold by 2028 compared with 2023. Accelerating growth of wind energy, as shown in the report, means that the countries are developing the supply chains needed to keep their growth up, and it will almost certainly lead to reduction in cost and improvements in the technology as more and more is built around the world. Ivy Maven, GBS News.
That's a big up on the wind energy industry celebration milestone. And have you ever heard of the people of Abidji? Well, I have a story for you. As in a celebration steeped in the tradition, the Abidji people of the Yobu village, we are talking of the Abidji people of the Yobu village in southeastern Ivory Coast, marked a significant event in their history with the Dipri Festival, an annual event, holding a profound cultural significance for the Abidji people, tracing back to the founding of their community the D, meaning water, and Pri, which symbolizes taking off, reflecting more on the essence of the celebration. The origins of the Abidji people lie across the border in the present day, that is Ghana, where they fled conflict, a journey marked by sacrifice, as one of their own made ultimate gesture to ensure their survival. Let's watch.
Every year, Abidji people who live in the southeastern Ivorian village of Yobu commemorate the foundation of their community. The celebration is known as the Dipri Festival. In their local language, D means water and Pri means the taking off. The role of leading the Dipri ceremony is handed down through families, and this year, Kofi Gessan was chosen.
Was initiated by my father, who holds the power of his father. When you bring a child into the world, the power is already there, even down to the grandchildren. So today, he is no longer with us. We are the initiators. My older brother was the initiator, and now he has passed away. So I am the one who is here now.
The Abidji people of Yobu belong to the Akan ethnic group, which originated from today's Ghana. Fleeing the war of succession of the Fantis in Ghana, the Abidjis found themselves in front of the Kamo River, where one of their own sacrificed in order for the rest to cross. The festival is the commemoration of this founding event, where Abidji wears white garments which symbolizes purity, and they apply to their faces with colin, which represents meekness and peace.
As the national holiday of my village, everything that is African is not satanic. Everything that is African is not demonic. The African man and woman must realize that he can believe in Jesus Christ and remain African.
During the Kupon, representatives of families who have been initiated challenge each other to showcase their mystic powers, while other Abidjis only take part in cultural sections of the event. Just got back from the sacred river. We will now go to the public square. Some will take part in the contest so that the others can show their power. The festival, which was celebrated in early April this year, also coincides with the 4th lunar month of the Abidji calendars, which marks the new year in Abidji.
Well, that was quite a culture there, marking some of the wonders of the world. We'd like to learn more. And that international news brings us to the end of our ambassador, GBS Global News. It's been a pleasure having you on board, joining us to the end. And just to do a recap for you, today we talked about the Benylin cough syrup withdrawal, as Kenya, among several African nations, are to withdraw the batch of Benylin, that is the children's syrup cough, following the recent concerns pertaining some toxicity findings. We'll keep you updated on the developments as you keep watching with us. And I have been your ambassador, Jennifer Macau, and I'm looking forward to seeing you at the GBS Global News tomorrow, same time, same place, tomorrow from Friday to Saturday at 1 p.m. And may you all a splendid and the most beautiful and a wonderful afternoon.
everywhere. GBS.